told of a hardy group of men. It's a tale of their triumphs and their woes. Being raised in melee's ancient or the modern workers' struggle that inspires men to stand up for their rights. And should we fall down by the wayside in this ever-changing world, we can look back to these heroes of our past, with a stubborn determination and ferocious I will.
Welcome to our first movie segment. This is Flashbacks. Flashbacks are movies from the year 1999.
Through 1970.
Way back through 1970. I kind of went ass backwards on that one. This week we started with The Boxer from 1997. A boxer jailed for associating with the Irish Republican Army returns to Belfast just as the IRA leader is trying to negotiate peace with the Brits. Gentlemen, what did we like about this movie?
Daniel Day-Lewis.
I heard he was pretty good in it.
I think we should just copy that audio clip of me saying that
For every
movie that we watch this week. He's pretty good in this movie. And also the supporting cast is pretty good. I think Brian Cox is in this movie, correct? He plays the leader of the IRA who's trying to negotiate peace. I think he has a nice role. And also Emily Watson, who's the female lead. She's strong. She's good in everything as well. She's a great Irish actress.
Not to be confused with Emma Watson.
No.
Don't confuse them.
Don't confuse. No. But so I thought just generally the performances by those characters were true and they were good, and they make this movie probably a little bit better than it actually is.
This reminds me of different movies. Kind of reminds me of The Fighter. Kind of reminds me of the movies that came after it. So they may have taken some inspiration. The Fighter, God, there were some other ones. I'm forgetting now because I drank so much yesterday.
Well, Rocky didn't come after this.
Yeah, Rocky came well before this.
Rocky Balboa came after this.
That is true. I think Rocky Balboa looked at the story directly from The Boxer. But yeah, it was just really nice. Daniel Day-Lewis has a reputation for throwing himself into a part. From what I hear, he boxed for like a year, like every day for a year, like actual box. He got in the ring with people. And I've heard that his boxing in this movie is very authentic. I guess I don't have as much of an eye for that sort of thing, so for me it just seemed like boxing. But from what I've heard, Joe Rogan talks about this movie sometimes, and that like the way when he throws punches, it seems like somebody who actually throws punches. Whereas he was saying like Mark Wahlberg, like he wasn't convinced with it, like which I thought it looked fine in the movie, but it just looked like like movie boxing to him. So whatever that means.
I mean, there's so little boxing in this movie.
It's kind of,
It's like it doesn't even matter.
It almost seems like a misnomer that this is called The Boxer.
Which is too bad, because if he worked that hard to become a boxer...
Yeah, but weren't you kind of hoping for just a fight scene at the end?
Totally.
Against the Russians or something?
Yep.
Yeah.
Dragging some logs through the snow.
If you were hoping for that, you're going to be let down.
Sorely disappointed.
Sorry, folks.
Yeah,
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Not really about boxing, even though it's called The Boxer.
Yeah. I liked his character. I liked. I guess it's kind of common in movies like this. He just doesn't back down from anything. I think this is the only movie of the week that wasn't a biopic. Though it doesn't advertise itself as such, and I don't remember seeing any based on a true story when it started. So.
But one of two movies that deal with the IRA and the tensions between Northern Ireland and England.
Yeah.
It's insane. I mean, it really is. You look back at that period in history, and we could talk more about it in one of the upcoming movies, but it really seems to me similar to the situations, in the Middle East today. Where it just looks like a freaking war zone. Exactly,
and here a lot of the violence in this movie is religiously based because you have the Protestants versus the Catholics, and kind of they don't at least in this time period don't really mix very well, which is kind of sad, and it is very much like you'll see in the Middle East the Palestinians and whatnot versus the Israelis. So it's just too bad, like people that are so close that kind of like live in super close proximity, just like that is the sticking point.
They have relatives,
exactly.
that are, in either religion or, some are English nationals and some are Northern Irish nationals, and it's just
timeless ass story.
But it is such an interesting thing to watch, and it works really well in this movie.
And you have Daniel Day-Lewis, who just doesn't give a shit. He's like, I don't care about any of this. I want a box.
And if you don't pick a side,
then you're the enemy.
You just get sucked into the void.
And he refuses to take a side, basically.
Exactly. He just wants to love his lady. and they're apparently not down with that because she is the daughter of the IRA boss.
But she's also
Isn't that always the way?
But she's also a prisoner's wife, which is the prisoner's wife outside of. All right, the prisoner's wife can't date anybody or have any romantic.
She has to remain
involvement.
loyal.
Yeah, otherwise people will fuck some people up.
Yep. As we see in this movie.
Yeah.
Some people get fucked up, and it's kind of sad. But I'd say, actually, of the 3 movies, this was probably, for me, the least of them. I thought it was great, but and he was good, and Daniel Day-Lewis was really good in it, but it's definitely the most whatever of the 3 that we watched.
No, I agree. I feel like this movie, it has trouble figuring out what it wants to be. Like we said, this movie is titled The Boxer, but it's really not about boxing so much. Then there's also kind of the story about the conflict of, the IRA coming to terms and trying to go towards peace, but there's some internal fractious things going on within the IRA. So that's kind of the other story. And then there's the romance story between Daniel Day-Lewis's character and his love interest, played by Emily Watson. So I feel like the movie treats each one of those as important. So there's really no one of those stories taking the lead. So it gets kind of confused, and it's hard to follow this movie on a narrative arc. You don't know what this movie is supposed to be, what you're supposed to focus on, and it doesn't really focus on any of them particularly well.
Word. What do we not like about it? Or I don't know if you have more than that. I thought this movie was fine, but it wasn't like mind blowing. I actually think the other 2 are incredibly great movies. So I guess the fact that I watched this one first is good, because it's less of a letdown. But now, kind of looking back, I wish it was as great as the other 2.
Yeah, the other 2 feel a little more visceral on some level. I think they connect on a more emotional level. And this has its moments, specifically one where he gets captured by IRA operatives toward the end of the movie. And I won't give away the ending, but that is a pretty tense-ass situation.
He's in some deep shit.
Yes.
Basically. But I think I pretty much agree with you that this is not as visceral. I would say there's not as much pizzazz to this movie. The music is kind of toned down. The performances are pretty toned down. Everything about this movie is very just toned down, and there isn't like a great score that's lapped on top, which you kind of normally expect in a movie like this.
Feels like a movie that Ron Howard would direct, right?
A little bit. Actually, I will spoil the ending. He gets drunk and fights a bear to the death. It's one of Daniel Day-Lewis's greatest scenes.
It's on YouTube.
Yeah, check it out. Just YouTube Daniel Day-Lewis fighting bear. Enjoy.
But I think, despite that, I do think it's still a very good movie, and it's easy to get into. But it's, I don't know. You compare this to his other 2 performances, and it's just not at the same level.
Yeah, I mean, this is also the latest of the movies, so it's I wouldn't say call this a paycheck movie, because I mean, I don't think he does those. But if I were to pick one of the movies that he's made, that might be. Maybe.
I feel like we're kind of downplaying how good this movie is.
I think it's because the other ones are so good.
The other 2 are really great. I haven't gotten all the way through.
But I mean, what makes this movie great though? Like, I just don't know. I don't see it.
I don't know. It was just really enjoyable to me to watch. But like, I can't think of anything off the top of my head that is like super great about it. It's just a good, solid movie.
I guess watching it, I want it to be either more like The Departed. I was going to compare it to that, but I couldn't figure out a good reason why. But something about it felt like that. Yeah, like the tension of it, and there's people basically going to get whacked and things like that. So it's kind of like The Departed.
It's like a mob movie.
Yeah,
because the IRA was essentially like a mob, but you have, like we were talking about earlier. There's these 2 factions within it. One that is tired of fighting the political war, ready for peace, and the other one that is not ready for that.
Who thinks that peace is giving up.
Yep.
And yeah.
So they didn't pull off the mob thing.
And then they didn't pull off the boxing thing either, because there should have been at least a couple training montages.
Yeah.
There should have been some pretty epic fights.
Yeah, you're supposed to have a fight that you build up to at the end where you conquer everything.
Yeah.
And you yell, Adrian.
Yeah.
from the corner.
They take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom.
Right, there was
That's
no moment
Scottish.
like that.
Oh, damn
So it does not apply.
it. Scottish, Irish, it's all the same, right?
Pretty much.
Hey-o.
Anyway, let's rate The Boxer.
I'm gonna give this a 4. I still think it's a pretty damn solid movie, and I can't imagine anyone not coming away enjoying it.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is pretty darn good. It's any movie with Daniel Day-Lewis tends to be watchable. I've never seen a movie with him where it wasn't just watchable for the pure fact that he's in it.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I feel like this movie gets lost within itself. Like I was saying, it's juggling these 3 balls, and it doesn't know how to...
Rest one on his chin.
Yeah, it doesn't know what to do with them exactly. So I'm going to give it a 3.
I'm going to give it a 3.5, so we're kind of at a meeting in the middle here. I think it is pretty good. I don't think it's great like a lot of his other movies, but it is totally enjoyable to watch. It is also, I think it runs about an hour and 41 minutes, so it is the shortest of the movies we watched. So it probably this would be a good Daniel Day-Lewis training wheels movie. Like, just kind of nudge you in. It's like, oh, this guy's got something going on. Watch The Boxer.